What's up, dudes? I'm Ted Holiday. I'm Jeff's uncle. He wanted to make this new series on 90s psychics. And he thought it'd be like this avant-garde, whatever that means, kind of thing, where he does it with like a 90s camcorder. So he asked me if he could use mine. I was like, sure, but only if I get to be hosting the first episode, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I guess like the first one we're gonna do is Sylvia Browne. Yeah, so here's Sylvia Browne.
Read about some of the secrets and mysteries that have greatly puzzled humankind, in some cases for centuries. Yes, I am a spiritual psychic and a student of theology, but my interest in the world's secrets and ancient myths, as well as the afterlife, has been continual and an ongoing passion. There are secrets and mysteries out there that a lot of people have been trying to explain, and there's probably only one person who can really explain them the best. Please welcome author of the book, Secrets and Mysteries of the World, world-renowned psychic, Sylvia Browne.
You see, Sylvia Browne was actually a really huge name in the psychic world in the 90s and then in the 2000s, but the main thing that she was really famous for was going on TV shows and trying to, like, help out with crime investigations. But you see, to really understand who Sylvia was, we gotta look into her past, right? So, at like age 5, she started seeing visions, and then also she was kind of guided by her grandmother, who was a psychic medium.
Once in a while, Grandma Ada used to say that if something hit you squarely in the solar plexus, that was a psychic hit. So you had to make a fast decision. My grandmother was so ahead of her time. She ingrained in my soul that this world was just a temporary place to learn and do good. She also used to say that being psychic is only part of a bigger picture, which was to show people that God's consciousness is all around us.
And this began a career, a long-standing career, where she started giving out all of these like psychic readings and telling people's futures. And ultimately, this led her on to the entertainment industry, and as well, she was an author of something like 40 books. It was pretty insane. Her books included such titles as Life on the Other Side, A Psychic's Tour of the Afterlife, The Other Side and Back, and All Pets Go to Heaven, The Spiritual Lives of the Animals We Love, among many others, of course. And so she also went and founded the Gnostic Christian church, Novus Spiritus. Yeah, this is her website. And if for some reason you're still obsessed with this long-dead, crazy, weird psychic, like, you can go to their website and still get, like, hypnotism and dream analysis. Now, before we get into, like, her long-standing career of getting shit wrong on TV, we should probably talk a little bit about her problems with the law. You see, back in the late 80s, she and her husband were being investigated by the FBI for theft and fraud. This is all because they were trying to sell securities in this gold mining operation, but really they were just ripping people off. And also, it actually ended up at one point, they took $20,000 from this one couple, saying, yeah, it's just gonna go straight to the mining operation, you know? But actually it went to the hell is it called? The Nirvana Foundation for Psychic Research, whatever the hell that is. And the other thing that I think is kind of weird about this too, is like, she was married 4 times, and if you're a psychic who can like predict the future and stuff, wouldn't you know whether or not your marriage is gonna work out? Anyway, so the whole thing about this is she would go on places like the Montel Williams show, Larry King, a bunch of other places, and she'd basically make these weird predictions. Sometimes she'd even be like, hey, you know, UFOs are totally real, but like they're not trying to hurt us and stuff.
Yeah, that is a UFO. God knows, because Marcia, I did have a UFO experience. You know, I talk about it in my book. And you're absolutely right. There is a lot of sightings around your area, you know what I mean? I think it's so amazing. I don't know if anybody got it in their paper here, but in Chicago, hundreds of people saw this, you know, and they said, oh, it's an air balloon. Duh. I mean, they think we're stupid, don't they? But they're not there to hurt you, honey. There's nothing demonic about those. See, this is what we call extraterrestrial. A spirit guide is an ultra-terrestrial, extraterrestrial. And, you know, all they're here to do is just see how we're taking care of the planet, which must make them really depressed.
But probably the worst ones is when she'd try and like help out people with missing persons or whether or not their kid was dead or something like that. You know, really scummy stuff like that. And I can show you examples why. Like, check this out. So this little girl was taken, right? And then like a month later, she was like, actually, okay, the little girl is alive, but she's been sold into sex slavery in Japan. And, like, who the fuck says that anyway? That is so weird and random.
She's not dead, but what bothers me. Now, I've never heard of this before, but for some reason, she was taken and put into some kind of slavery thing and taken into Japan.
But it turned out like the girl had been dead for weeks already.
4 years later, the little girl's remains were found near Fort Worth, Texas. An autopsy showed she was killed shortly after vanishing.
Yeah, so this one's really crazy. Like, we got this clip here. She was saying, like, yeah, he was taken by a Hispanic man with dreadlocks, and yeah, by the way, your kid's dead. It turns out they find the kid 5 years later. He'd been kidnapped by some white dude.
They turned to the Montel Williams show and self-professed psychic Sylvia Browne for help. That's when they got the worst possible news.
Is he still with us?
No. Browne told them their son's body could be found about 20 miles southwest of their home in a wooded area near two jagged boulders. Thankfully, Sean Hornbeck was found last week alive and well. His alleged abductor, Michael Devlin, is not Hispanic, and he didn't have dreadlocks at the time of the abduction.
This one's really weird. So, they were asking about this little girl who had gotten taken about 7 years before. And she's like, oh, no, she's like an exotic dancer or something like that. But in reality, like, right after she was taken, unfortunately, the little girl was killed. So this one, she was like, yeah, the little girl, she unfortunately passed away, but she's in water, so, like, I can't really get a fix on where she is, you know? And what's really messed up is her mom then died a few years later thinking that her little girl was, like, murdered this whole time. It turns out she'd been kidnapped, and they found her, like, 10 years after she was taken.
WMMS Morning Show in Cleveland reenacted the transcript. The host read the part of the psychic.
I hate this when they're in water. She's not alive, honey.
Not alive? Then who's this?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years and I'm here, I'm free now.
Amanda's mom is the one no longer alive. She came home from the psychic's reading telling the Cleveland Plain Dealer she was devastated.
Yeah, this dude disappeared back in 2000, and she was like, he's been totally killed, and you'll find his body in, like, a metal shaft. What actually happened was the dude unfortunately crashed his truck into a pond, and he drowned. Like, it had nothing to do with what she was saying. So this is the most fucked up one, though, right? This is a pretty good example of how she was totally full of shit. So, she said that the girl was taken by a dude with the initials MJ, and that she was still alive. But what's really messed up was the girl had already been murdered, and her killer was in the studio. It was the woman's son-in-law. He was in the studio while the reading was being made. I mean, if she was a psychic, don't you think she would have been able to pick up on that? It was even reported by sleuthsayers that while in the studio, Rapaski shook Sylvia's hand. Alright, these are examples of like how she'd be like a pretty crappy person. But I mean, if you really want to know how really crappy she could be, check out this clip.
Terry Flans knew her son Mark was dying of cancer.
He was in a coma.
But she prayed he would win the fight of his life.
And I thought the old Mark was coming back.
So 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Flans went to the St. Louis appearance of self-proclaimed psychic Sylvia Browne, silently pleading for help.
I got to talk to her. And my number was the first one picked. And I was wanting to know if he was going to live. And she matter-of-factly said, yes, he's going to live.
My son is in the hospital, fighting for his life. I want to know, is there any way they're going to be able to save him?
Yeah, they will save him.
His wife wants to send him home with hospice.
No, keep him there for a while.
They're not going to give him that long. They're only giving him a I don't give a damn.
2 days later, Mark was dead.
Mark didn't want to die in the hospital. He wanted to go home. But Sylvia Browne told us that he was going to live to the end of the month and he'd get better.
Like, it sucks that people get suckered into this kind of thing, and they still are to this very day by psychics and shit, but now they're all, like, on apps, you know? You don't even get to see them on TV, you just gotta, like, trust this person that you're texting. Yeah, they're, like, totally a psychic, you know what I mean? But really what's weird is that people took this lady so seriously. Like, she got everything wrong all the time, and people still believe in her enough that there's a church that sells, like, services that she was inspired by. I mean, this woman was a fruitcake, you know what I'm saying? Like, check this clip out.
Today we're going to be talking about spirit guides. They never ever leave you. They never control you. But what they do try to do is ticker tape messages through your mind. My guide, for instance, said that there is no time on the other side, but if she said if you were to measure it, she trained for something like 700 years, maybe in our time, to be my guide.
And if you need any more evidence that she was, like, totally a fake, she even said on the Larry King show she was gonna die at age 88. Yeah, she died when she was 77. You kind of missed the mark on that one. You know, Sylvia was kind of an icon, and, you know, they don't really make them like that anymore, except, wait, no, yeah, they do, actually. You see, she had a son.
So what you do, you are a psychic.
Yes.
And that is different than being a fortune teller, right?
True.
How is that different?
Well, we don't do palm readings. We don't do cards or anything like that. I get my information from my spirit guide, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. And check out his website. I mean, like, he offers such amazing services like full live phone reading for 30 minutes. Regular price is $200, but it's on sale for $100. A full hour of phone reading is usually $330, but it's on sale for $165. Skype reading for 45 minutes is $230, and an in-person reading for only 30 minutes? Well, what a steal at $350. Look, guys, I mean, whether or not there's real psychic powers out there or not, usually the people on TV are probably full of shit. They're just trying to, like, get money out of you. You know, if somebody comes around, they're like, yeah, I could totally help you figure out, like, all this and that with my spooky magic mystical powers, but, you're gonna have to pay me? Yeah, they're probably full of shit. Probably shouldn't give them any money. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for episode 1. I think I did a good job. What do you think?
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna forget about it, but it was kinda awful, Uncle Ted.
Well, fine. Screw you then, man. Well, I'm sure I'll see you guys again soon. You stay cool, stay frosty, get yourself a beer, and you'll be alright. See you later.